Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. This is not the time to second guess the energy around you. Pay attention. Some people come into your life as blessings, but others, they come as lessons. The question is, are you willing to see the signs? Evil doesn't walk in with a neon sign over its head. It moves in the shadows. It charms, it manipulates, and it takes before you even realize what's missing. But if you sharpen your senses, you'll see the signs clear as day. The first sign of an evil person is their love for confusion and destruction. These people will walk into a peaceful space and set it on fire, not with matches, but what? Manipulation, gossip and manipulation. They thrive on discord because it makes them feel powerful. Watch their actions, not their words. A tongue can lie, but behavior, it's a mirror of their intentions. That have you noticed someone who only shows up when they need something? They don't add value to your life, they drain it. These people will take your time, your energy, your resources, and leave you empty. They never pour back into you. Protect your boundaries, because evil will take until there's nothing left. That evil people are master actors. They'll play the victim, the hero, or whatever role suits their agenda. Their charm is their weapon, and their lies are their ammunition. You can't trust the version of themselves they show you, because it's not real. That a good person will lift you up when you're down, but an evil one, they'll rejoice in your chain. They'll disguise their delight behind fake concern, but make no mistake, they enjoy seeing you struggle. Be careful of those who clap the loudest when you fall out of lack of empathy. Is the cornerstone of an evil heart. These individuals don't care about your pain, your dreams, or your journey. They see people as tools, not as souls. If someone cannot connect to your humanity, they don't deserve a place in your life. Now, here's the hard truth. Evil people don't always come dressed as enemies. Sometimes they come as friends, co-workers, or even family. It's not about hate, it's about self-preservation. You have to recognize the signs and make the decision to protect your peace. You owe it to yourself to surround yourself with people who lift you higher, not those who drag you into their darkness. The company you keep is the life you build. Choose wisely. So what will you do? Will you ignore the signs and let these people poison your life, or will you stand, trust your instincts, and walk away? The choice is yours. Guard your heart, protect your mind, and build your life around goodness, love, and truth. Chaos is a weapon wielded by those with malicious intent, a subtle yet devastating tool used to disrupt, manipulate, and control. It's not always loud or obvious. Often it's insidious, creeping in through small cracks until it consumes the entire foundation of a relationship, or workplace, or community. People who thrive on chaos are masters at using disorder to their advantage, creating confusion and instability wherever they go. Their aim is not simply to stir the pot, but to craft an environment where they hold all the cards. By keeping everyone else disoriented, they maintain a position of power. The art of using chaos begins with planting seeds of doubt and mistrust. These individuals understand that confusion is most effective when it undermines certainty. They will say one thing to one person is something entirely different to another, creating a web of conflicting information. As the contradictions grow, so does the uncertainty among their targets. People begin to second guess what they know, who they can trust, and even their own perceptions. This doubt becomes fertile ground for the manipulator to step in and position themselves as the only one with clarity or solutions, further consolidating their influence. And chaos makers are adept at identifying weak points in relationships and systems. They know that where there is vulnerability, there is an opportunity to exploit. In a family, they may pit siblings against each other by spreading rumors or exaggerating grievances. In a workplace, they might fuel gossip or highlight small mistakes to create animosity between colleagues' meetings. In a friendship, they could whisper half-truths designed to erode trust. These actions may seem small in isolation, but the cumulative effect is significant. They fracture bonds, erode trust, and create an environment where collaboration and peace are impossible. What makes chaos so effective as a weapon is its ability to distract. When people are busy dealing with the fallout of confusion, they have less energy and focus to confront the source. The chaos maker ensures that the actions remain concealed in the noise. Deflect attention from their own misdeeds by keeping others embroiled in drama, conflict. This redirection is not accidental. It is a deliberate strategy to avoid accountability. While others are scrambling to make sense of the chaos, the manipulator remains calm and calculating, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Another tactic of those who wield chaos is their ability to manipulate emotions. They are keen observers of human behavior, understanding how to push buttons and provoke reactions. They may play the victim to elicit sympathy, only to turn around and sow discord with the same people who offered their support. They exploit fear, anger, and insecurity to destabilize those around them. By creating emotional turbulence, they ensure that rational thought and clear communication are overshadowed by reactive behavior. This emotional chaos further entrenches their control, as people are less likely to challenge them when they are overwhelmed by their own feelings. Chaos as a weapon also serves to isolate its targets. By creating confusion and conflict, the chaos maker disrupts the natural flow of relationships. People begin to withdraw from one another, unsure of whom they can trust. This isolation works in the manipulator's favor, as it reduces the likelihood of their targets coming together to compare notes or unite against them. When people are fragmented and disconnected, they are easy to manipulate and can control. The chaos maker exploits this disunity, ensuring that their power remains unchallenged. It's one of the most sinister aspects of using chaos as a weapon is the long-term damage it causes. Even after the chaos makers moved on, the effects of their actions linger. Relationships are left fractured, trust is eroded, and the emotional toll can take years to repair. People who have been subjected to this kind of manipulation often carry the scars with them, becoming more guarded and less willing to trust in the future. The chaos maker doesn't just disrupt the present, they leave a legacy of destruction that impacts their targets long after they are gone. The effectiveness of chaos as a weapon lies in its subtlety. It doesn't announce itself with grand gestures, it works quietly, incrementally, until it becomes the new normal. By the time people recognize what is happening, the damage is often already done. Chaos makers rely on margin of slow erosion of stability to maintain their advantage. They know that a sudden, dramatic move might draw attention, but a series of small, seemingly unrelated actions can achieve the same result without raising suspicion. Chaos is not just a tool for causing harm, it is a means of control. By keeping others in a state of uncertainty, the chaos maker ensures that they remain the central figure in the narrative. People look to them for answers, guidance, or even just an explanation of what's happening. This dynamic reinforces their power and influence, making it difficult for others to break free from their grip. The chaos maker becomes the puppeteer, orchestrating the movements of those around them, while maintaining their own position of authority. The use of chaos as a weapon is a deeply manipulative and harmful practice. It preys on the natural human desire for stability and understanding, turning these instincts against the very people who hold them. It's a form of psychological warfare that leaves its targets feeling disoriented, vulnerable, and powerless. Recognizing the signs of this behavior is the first step in oneself from its effects. Only by understanding how chaos is used can people begin to dismantle its power and reclaim their sense of clarity and control. The deceptive charm of takers is one of the most insidious traits a person can possess. It doesn't announce itself boldly or immediately raise alarms. Instead, it sneaks into your life under the guise of friendliness, care, and support. These individuals are masters of disguise, wearing a mask of sincerity, while their true intention is to extract as much as they can from you, your time, energy, resources, and even your emotional well-being. And they are often charismatic, seemingly trustworthy, and quick to offer words of comfort or encouragement. But beneath this facade lies a self-serving nature that prioritizes their needs above all else, leaving you depleted and questioning how you allowed it to happen. Fakers often excel in their ability to make you feel special, needy, or even indispensable in the beginning. They know how to say the right thing, show the right gestures, and create an emotional connection that feels genuine. This charm is their tool a bait that lures you in and makes you willingly open the doors to your life. You may feel flattered by their attention or touched by their apparent interest in you and in your well-being. They make you believe that your kindness and generosity are valued, but in reality, they are assessing how much they can take from you without giving anything substantial in return. Their charm is not accidental. It is a calculated strategy designed to disarm your defenses and build a sense of trust. The deceptive charm of takers thrives on imbalance. In any healthy relationship, there is a give and take dynamic, a mutual exchange of support, care, and effort. But with takers, the scale is tipped entirely in this peak. They might start small, asking for a little help here or a small favor. These requests often seem reasonable, even innocent. At first, you tell yourself that you're just being a good friend, partner, or colleague. But over time, the requests grow larger and more frequent, and the imbalance becomes harder to ignore. They rarely, if ever, reciprocate, and if they do, it's often minimal or formative, just enough to keep you hooked and prevent you from questioning the relationship too deeply. One of the most effective tactics takers use is exploiting your natural empathy and generosity. They know that good-hearted people often struggle to say no, especially when someone appears to be in need. Takers will play on this, presenting themselves as vulnerable or overwhelmed. They might tell you stories of their hardships, real or exaggerated, to elicit your sympathy and ensure your compliance. You find yourself going out of your way to help them, to ease their burden, or to provide them with something they claim to lack. But no matter how much you give, it never seems to be enough. They always find a way to need more subtly or overtly pressuring you to continue giving while offering little to nothing in return. The charm of takers is also rooted in their ability to deflect responsibility. When confronted about their behavior, they are quick to turn the conversation around, making you feel as though your concerns are unfounded or even selfish. They might accuse you of being overly sensitive, ungrateful, or misinterpreting their actions. This gaslighting tactic serves to undermine your confidence and make you doubt your instincts. Instead of holding them accountable, you find yourself questioning whether you're the one in the wrong. This manipulation allows them to continue taking without interruption. It keeps you become more hesitant to address the imbalance in the relationship. Takers are also skilled at making their demands seem reasonable. They rarely ask outright for large favors or significant sacrifices. Instead, they break their requests into small, incremental steps that feel manageable in the moment. You may not realize how much you've given until you take a step back and assess the cumulative impact. By the time you recognize the extent of the taking, you may feel so invested in the relationship that it becomes difficult to pull away. You tell yourself that you've already given so much, so walking away now would make all your efforts feel wasted. This sunk cost fallacy is precisely what takers rely on to keep you engaged and giving. Another layer of their deception is their ability to feign gratitude and appreciation. Takers know that genuine acknowledgement can make people feel valued and motivate them to continue giving. They might offer a quick thank you or an occasional gesture of appreciation, but these are often hollow and short-lived. Their expressions of gratitude are calculated, designed to maintain the illusion of a balanced relationship while masking their true intentions. Over time, you may start to notice that their words and actions lack depth, that their gratitude feels performative rather than heartfelt. This realization can be painful, as it forces you to confront the reality that your generosity has been taken for granted. Takers are opportunists, always on the lookout for what they can gain from a situation or a person. They are particularly drawn to individuals who are kind-hearted, empathetic, and willing to go the extra mile for others. These qualities, while admirable, make people vulnerable to exploitation. Takers know how to identify these traits and use them to their advantage. They position themselves as deserving of your kindness, often exaggerating their struggles and needs to elicit your help. And because they are so skilled at presenting themselves as charming and likable, you may not even realize that you've become a target until it's too late. One of the most damaging aspects of being involved with a taker is the toll it takes on your emotional and mental well-being. Constantly giving without receiving can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and resentful. You may start to question your own worth, wondering why someone who claims to care about you would take so much without giving back. This emotional exhaustion can seep into other areas of your life, affecting your relationships, your work, and even your sense of self. The longer you remain in a relationship with a taker, the more difficult it becomes to break free, as your charm and manipulation have a way of entangling you in their web. Takers also have a knack for making you feel guilty when you set boundaries or try to pull away. They might accuse you of being selfish or uncaring, using guilt as a tool to keep you in their orbit. This guilt can be particularly powerful if you are someone who prides yourself on being generous and supportive. The taker exploits this aspect of your personality, making it difficult for you to say no or prioritize your own needs. Over time, you may find yourself bending over backward to accommodate their demands, even when it comes at a significant cost to your own well-being. Despite their manipulative nature, takers are often blind to the damage. They operate from a mindset of entitlement, believing that their needs and desires are more important than those of others. This sense of entitlement allows them to justify their actions, no matter how selfish or harmful they may be. They rarely, if ever, reflect on the impact of their behavior, as doing so will require them to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves. Instead, they continue taking oblivious or indifferent to the harm they inflict on those around them. The deceptive charm of takers is a powerful tool that allows them to exploit others while maintaining appearance of innocence or good intentions. They use charm, manipulation, and guilt to create a dynamic in which they benefit at the expense of others. Recognizing this behavior is essential for protecting yourself from the influence and ensuring that your kindness and generosity are not taken for granted. It's hide true intentions, serving as a deceptive shield that conceals the reality of a person's character while projecting an image carefully crafted to mislead others. People who wear these metaphorical masks are experts in creating illusions. They manipulate perceptions, portraying themselves as trustworthy, kind, or selfless, all while harboring motives that are far from genuine. Their masks are not mere accessories, but tools of manipulation designed to exploit distrust and goodwill of those around them. These individuals know how to use their outward appearance as a weapon, ensuring that their true intentions remain hidden beneath layers of pretense. The mask wearer is often a skilled actor, someone who can adapt their behavior and demeanor to fit the situation or the audience. They study the people around them, learning what traits and actions will earn trust, admiration, or sympathy. Once they have this knowledge, they mold their outward persona to meet those expectations. To one person, they may appear as a supportive friend, always ready with a kind word or a listening ear. To another, they may present themselves as a competent leader, exuding confidence and authority. The versatility of their masks is a testament to their cunning. They know how to be whoever they need to be in order to achieve their goals. Masks are often so convincing that it becomes nearly impossible to check the deceit beneath them. The mask wearer is adept at mirroring the values, beliefs, and desires of others, creating a false sense of alignment and connection. This mirroring technique is deliberate as it fosters trust and intimacy. When someone sees their own values reflected in another person, they are more likely to let their guard down and believe in the authenticity of the relationship. The mask wearer exploits this vulnerability, using it as an entry point to further the hidden agenda. Agenda G-fit power the bias. That means why die agenda phase. One of the most unsettling aspects of masks is how seamlessly they can integrate into everyday interactions. The person wearing the mask may share laughter with them, moments of vulnerability, or even acts of kindness that seem genuine. These actions serve to reinforce the illusion and deepen the trust of those around them. It is only over time, and often after significant harm has been done, that the cracks in the mask begin to show. By then, the damage is usually already inflicted, betrayed trust, broken relationships, or exploited resources. Masks are not just about hiding malicious intent, they are also about deflecting suspicion. The person wearing the mask understands that a direct approach may arouse doubt or scrutiny. So they use their facade as a means of preemptively disarming others. Their charm, humility, or helpfulness creates a barrier against criticism or mistrust. People naturally want to believe in the goodness of others, and the masked world leverages this tendency to maintain their deception. They rely on the assumption that outward appearances are an accurate reflection of inner character, knowing full well that this is not the case. For those who interact with the masked world, the experience can be deeply confusing and disorienting. The outward persona often appears so genuine that it is difficult to reconcile with the occasional glimpses of inconsistency or dishonesty. When these inconsistencies arise, they are often dismissed as misunderstandings, isolated incidents, or even faults in one's own perception. The masked world capitalizes on this doubt, using it to maintain their facade and continue their deception. They may even manipulate the situation further, casting themselves as the victim of unfair suspicion or criticism, thereby reinforcing the mask and diverting attention from their true intentions. And the mask people wear are not static, they evolve over time and adapt to changing circumstances. A mask that works in one environment may not be effective in another. So the mask world constantly refines their performance. This adaptability makes them even more difficult to expose, as they are always one step ahead in shaping their image to fit the expectations of those around them. They are like chameleons, blending seamlessly into their surroundings while keeping their true nature concealed. This ability to change masks at will is a key element of their strategy, ensuring that they can navigate different social dynamics without revealing their hidden motives. The emotional toll of interacting with someone who hides behind a mask can be profound. On the surface, the relationship may seem fulfilling or supportive, but beneath it lies a foundation of deception. Over time, the cracks in the mask may begin to create a sense of unease or mistrust, even if the exact source of these feelings is difficult to pinpoint. This internal conflict can be exhausting, as the person on the receiving end of the deception struggles to reconcile their perception of the mask wearer with the growing sense that something is not right. The longer the deception continues, the more damaging it becomes, eroding trust and leaving emotional scars that can take years to heal. Perhaps the most unsettling truth about masks is that they often serve as a reminder of how easily trust can be manipulated. The person wearing the mask does not necessarily possess extraordinary abilities or supernatural power. They simply understand human psychology and know how to exploit it. They rely on the fact that most people want to believe in the goodness of others and are reluctant to question appearances. This trust is a powerful tool in their hands, allowing them to operate with impunity while their true intentions remain hidden. It is a chilling realization that the very qualities that make us human, our empathy, our desire for connection, our willingness to trust, can be turned against us by someone wearing a mask. The danger of masks is not just in the harm they cause to individuals, but also in the broader impact they have on communities and organizations. When someone with hidden intentions infiltrates a group, their deception can create division, mistrust, and conflict. Their actions may go unnoticed or unchallenged for long periods, as their mask allows them to deflect suspicion and manipulate others to their advantage. But by the time their true nature is revealed, the damage may be widespread, affecting not just individuals, but the entire fabric of the group. And the ripple effects of their deception can take a significant toll, leaving a trail of broken trust and fractured relationships in their wake. For the mask wearer, the act of deception is often a means to an end. Their true intentions may be driven by a desire for power, control, financial gain, or even simple validation. Whatever their motive, they see the mask as a necessary tool to achieve their goals. They may justify their actions to themselves, believing that the ends justify the means or that their deception is harmless. This self-rationalization allows them to continue their charade without guilt or remorse, further entrenching their behavior and more difficult for others to uncover the truth. In many cases, the mask is so convincing that even the wearer begins to believe in their own performance. They blur the lines between their true self and the persona they project, create a complex web of identity that evading they struggle to navigate. This internal conflict can lead to further manipulation as you try to maintain their facade, are grappling with the inconsistencies in their own behavior. The mask becomes not just a tool for deceiving others, but also a means of deceiving themselves, allowing them to avoid confronting their true intentions and the harm they cause. Rejoicing in pain is one of the most paradoxical experiences a human can endure. It is not an instinctual reaction, as our natural tendency is to recoil from suffering, to resist it or wish it away. Yet exists a profound strength in embracing pain and allowing it to teach and transform rather than merely torment. Pain is a universal part of the human condition, unavoidable and unrelenting at times, but it is also one of the most significant forces for growth. To rejoice in pain is not to seek it or revel in suffering for its own sake. Rather, it is to recognize that pain, though unwelcome, carries within it the seeds of resilience, wisdom, and transformation. Pain strips away illusions. It reveals truths about ourselves and the world that comfort often conceals. In moments of ease and abundance, it is tempting to believe in a static sense of self, a predictable path, or a guaranteed future. Pain shatters these illusions. It is in this unfiltered space that rejoicing in pain becomes possible, not because the suffering is enjoyable, but because it is honest and raw. It pushes us into authenticity, demanding that we reckon with our deepest fears, desires, and strengths. Pain also fosters connection. It is a common denominator that unites us as human beings, transcending boundaries of culture, language, and circumstance. When we allow ourselves to rejoice in pain, we are not celebrating its presence, but acknowledging its role as a bridge between people. Shared suffering builds empathy and understanding, creating bonds that might not otherwise exist. To rejoice in pain is to see it as a tool for forging deeper connections, for recognizing that we are never truly alone in our struggles. There is comfort in this realization, a sense of solidarity that makes the burden of pain feel lighter, if only for a moment. The transformative power of pain lies in its ability to teach. Every painful experience, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, carries lessons. These lessons are often hidden, requiring introspection and patience to uncover. Pain forces us to confront our limitations, to reassess our priorities, and to develop new strategies for navigating life. It sharpens our focus, clarifying what truly matters and stripping away distractions. To rejoice in pain is to embrace its role as a teacher, to approach it with curiosity rather than resistance. It is a recognition that the pain, though difficult, is a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. Resilience is born from pain. It is in the crucible of suffering that strength is forged, not through avoidance or denial, but through endurance and acceptance. Rejoicing in pain means acknowledging the knowledge resilience it fosters. The way it forces us to dig deeper into ourselves and find reserves of strength we didn't know you didn't know we had. Pain tests us, yes, but it also empowers us. Each time we endure a painful experience, we emerge a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more equipped to face future challenges. This is not a process to be feared, but to be embraced. For it is through these trials that we become our most authentic and capable selves. Pain also deepens our capacity for joy. The two are inextricably linked, as it is often through contrast that we truly appreciate the good in life. Moments of happiness and contentment gain their riches precisely because we know what it means to suffer. To rejoice in pain is to understand that it enhances our appreciation of life's beauty. It reminds us not to take joy for granted, to savor the moments of peace and laughter, because they are made all the more meaningful by the trials we endure. Pain, in its harsh way, teaches us gratitude. There is also a spiritual dimension to rejoicing in pain. Many philosophies and faiths speak to the redemptive power of suffering, suggesting that it can purify the soul, deepen faith, or bring us closer to a higher power. Pain, in this context, becomes a vehicle for transcendence, a way of moving beyond the self and connecting with something greater. To rejoice in pain, then, is to see it not as a punishment or a random occurrence, but as part of a larger journey. It is to trust that there is meaning in the suffering, even if that meaning is not immediately apparent. Pain demands presence. It pulls us out of the distractions of daily life and into the immediacy of the moment. While this presence can feel overwhelming, it also offers clarity. In pain, we are acutely aware of our bodies, our thoughts, and our emotions. This heightened awareness, though uncomfortable, is a gift. It allows us to confront our reality head on, to engage with life in its rawest form. To rejoice in pain is to embrace this forced presence, to see it as an opportunity for mindfulness and self-reflection. It is a way of grounding ourselves, of finding stability even amidst the chaos. Rejoicing in pain is not about denying its difficulty or pretending it doesn't hurt. It is about finding meaning and a purpose within it, about using it as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Pain by its nature demands a response. We can choose to let it consume us, to allow it to make us bitter, or hopefully can choose to age with it to find the lessons and opportunities it offers. This choice is what defines our relationship with pain. And it is in making the conscious decision to grow from it that we find the strength to death, to rejoice. Pain also teaches us humility. It reminds us of our limitations, of the fact that we are not invincible. This humility can be a powerful force for growth, encouraging us to seek help when needed, to lean on others, and to approach life with greater compassion. To rejoice in pain is to accept this role in humbling us and breaking down our ego and making room for vulnerability. It is through this vulnerability that we can know deeply with ourselves and others, finding strength in our shared humanity. The paradox of rejoicing in pain lies in its duality. Pain is both a destroyer and a creator. It tears down old beliefs, relationships, or ways of being, but in doing so, it clears the way for something new. To rejoice in pain is to focus on what it creates rather than what it destroys. It is to trust in the process, to believe that the pain we endure has a purpose, even if that purpose is not immediately clear. This perspective does not lessen the intensity of the pain, but it does give it meaning, which can make it more bearable. Rejoicing in pain is ultimately an act of defiance. It is a refusal to let suffering define us or dictate our lives. It is a declaration that even in the face of hardship, we can find strength, meaning, and growth. Pain may be an inevitable part of life, but how we respond to it is within our control. To rejoice in pain is to reclaim that control, to assert that we are more than our suffering, and to embrace the transformative power that lies within it. The absence of empathy is a chilling characteristic, one that drains humanity from interactions and leaves a void where understanding, compassion, and connection should thrive. Empathy is the bridge that connects one soul to another, a silent yet profound force that allows people to feel not just for each other, but with each other. When this essential quality is missing, relationships become transactional, interactions feel hollow, and the threads that bind communities and individuals together begin to fray. The absence of empathy is not merely the lack of a desirable trait, it is a dangerous vacuum that could foster manipulation, cruelty, and division. Without empathy, people fail to see others as fully human. They may acknowledge another person's existence, but lack the ability or willingness to consider their feelings, experiences, perspectives. This absence creates a barrier, an emotional wall that prevents genuine connection. In its extreme form, this lack of empathy can manifest as dehumanization, where others are reduced to objects, tools, or obstacles to be navigated, rather than individuals to be understood and respected. This dehumanization is at the root of countless conflicts and injustices, as it allows one to inflict harm without feeling the weight of another's suffering. The absence of empathy distorts communication. In a conversation rooted in empathy, there is an exchange of not just words, but emotions and intentions. Both parties seek to understand and be understood, creating a sense of mutual respect and validation. When empathy is absent, communication becomes one-sided or manipulative. Words may be used as weapons, twisted to serve selfish purposes or to exploit vulnerabilities. Empathetic cues that allow people to sense when someone is hurt, overwhelmed, or uncomfortable are ignored or dismissed, leading to interactions that feel cold and transactional. Over time, this erosion of genuine communication creates an emotional distance that can be hard to repair. This absence also feeds selfishness and egocentrism. Without empathy, individuals prioritize their needs, desires, and perspectives above all else, often at the expense of those around them. They may justify harmful actions by minimizing or outright ignoring the impact on others. This self-centered mindset creates a ripple effect as those affected by the lack of empathy may become guarded, resentful, or disengaged. Relationships built on such foundations are often fragile, as they lack the mutual care and understanding needed to weather challenges. In environments where empathy is absent, cruelty can thrive. Empathy serves as a moral compass, a natural inhibitor that makes it difficult to knowingly cause harm. When it is missing, this restraint disappears and the threshold for inflicting pain becomes alarmingly low. Acts of cruelty, whether subtle or overt, are often rationalized or downplayed as the perpetrator is disconnected from the emotional reality of their victim. This dynamic can manifest in various forms, from bullying and abuse to systemic injustices and exploitation. The absence of empathy creates a fertile ground for these behaviors to take root and flourish, often leaving a trail of deep, lasting scars. The lack of empathy is also a breeding ground for manipulation. Without the emotional boundaries that empathy provides, manipulative individuals exploit others with ease. They may feign understanding or concern to gain trust, only to betray it when it serves their interest. This calculated absence of genuine empathy allows manipulators to justify their actions as they remain emotionally detached from the harm they cause. For those on the receiving end, the experience is profoundly disorienting and damaging, as the betrayal of trust undermines their ability to connect with others in the future. When in broader social and cultural contexts, the absence of empathy contributes to division and polarization. Empathy is what allows people to bridge differences, to find common ground, even when they disagree. Without it, those differences become insurmountable barriers, fueling suspicion, hostility, and alienation. People retreat into echo chambers, surrounding themselves with those who share their views while dehumanizing those who do not. This lack of understanding and willingness to engage with others' perspectives exacerbates societal tensions, making it increasingly difficult to resolve conflicts or build inclusive communities. The absence of empathy is often a learned or conditioned state. While some may naturally struggle with empathy due to neurological or psychological factors, many lose their capacity for it through repeated exposure to environments that discourage vulnerability or emotional openness. In highly competitive or survival-driven settings, empathy may be seen as a weakness rather than a strength, leading individuals to suppress it in favor of self-preservation. Over time, this suppression becomes habitual, creating individuals who are disconnected from their own emotions and, by extension, from the emotions of others. This disconnection has profound consequences for personal well-being. Empathy is not only essential for healthy relationships, but also for a healthy sense of self. It fosters emotional intelligence, helping individuals navigate their feelings and respond effectively to the emotions of those around them. And without empathy, people often struggle with loneliness, frustration, and lack of fulfillment, as their relationships lack the depth and intimacy that make human connections meaningful. Or this emotional void can lead to cycles of isolation and further disengagement, perpetuating the absence of empathy in the The absence of empathy also diminishes the potential for growth and learning. Empathy allows individuals to see beyond their own experiences, to understand the world through the eyes of others. This perspective taking is crucial for personal development, as it challenges biases, broadens understanding, and fosters a sense of interconnectedness. Without empathy, people remain confined to their narrow viewpoints, resistant to change and new ideas. This stagnation not only limits their individual growth, but also hinders collective progress, as kind of collaboration and innovation require the ability to consider diverse perspectives and needs. In leadership and positions of power, the absence of empathy is particularly damaging. Empathetic leaders inspire trust, foster collaboration, and prioritize the well-being of those they serve. In contrast, leaders who lack empathy often create toxic environments characterized by fear, distrust, and exploitation. Their decisions are driven by self-interest or a detached pragmatism that overlooks the human impact of their actions. This lack of empathy undermines morale, erosion, and ultimately leads to instability and dysfunction within organizations or communities. The absence of empathy also stifles creativity and artistry. Empathy is the root of storytelling, the ability to evoke emotions and connect with audiences on a profound level. Without it, creative expressions often lack depth and authenticity, failing to resonate or inspire. Empathy allows artists, writers, and creators to draw from the human experience, crafting quirks that reflect and challenge the complexities of life. Its absence results in art that feels hollow, disconnected, and devoid of the emotional resonance that gives it power. On a global scale, the absence of empathy perpetuates inequality and suffering. Empathy drives efforts to address social injustices, humanitarian crises, and environmental challenges. It compels individuals and society to act not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to alleviate suffering and promote well-being. When empathy is absent, these issues are often ignored or dismissed, as they are seen as someone else's problem. This lack of collective empathy exacerbates disparities, leaving the most vulnerable to bear the brunt of neglect and indifference. Ultimately, the absence of empathy represents a fundamental disconnect from the essence of humanity. It strips interactions of their warmth, relationships of their depth, and societies of their cohesion. It creates a world where individuals are isolated, communities are divided, and suffering is ignored. Yet, even in its absence, there is a glimmer of hope, as empathy is not a finite resource, but a skill and mindset that can be nurtured and restored. Recognizing its absence is the first step toward rekindling the connections and understanding that make life rich and meaningful.